to another episode of Disc Jockey News TV. This is the DJ Spotlight. And this disc jockey is a son, father, husband, veteran, CrossFit coach, and of course, a lover of music. He accidentally became a DJ back in the 90s at a party one night and fell in love with it. He has performed at clubs and events in multiple states across the U.S., including, but not limited to, international venues in Japan and Qatar. His latest passion is providing music at CrossFit competitions and other sporting events. It's the ultimate challenge in crowd reading. So stay tuned because we will be diving into that question a little bit later today. Mo, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
No, I really appreciate the opportunity. Huge fan. I've been following you for a couple of years, so to actually have an opportunity to be interviewed by you, it's my honor. So thank you.
I feel like we're both fangirls of each other.
Yeah, I've been accused of things like that before.
I love it. So I really appreciate it, especially because this was so last minute. This is just before you're about to go.
I've been ready for this for like 2 years. So
okay, well, there we go. Perfect. So you're just about to go out of town to do more work. I wanted to say I love how you are using your two passions of like health and music to really create this amazing business of yours. Can you tell us a bit about your start in the industry and how you got to figuring out your niche?
So like you said earlier, I started by accident. It was when I was assigned in Japan in the early 90s, and my buddy was having a house party, and one of the guys that was supposed to DJ got drunk. And, you know, nothing worse than a drunk DJ. I wasn't even spinning records very much. I'd watch my friends spin. I'd try a little bit, wasn't very good. But in a pinch, when you have a drunk DJ versus someone who can maybe kind of DJ, you know, you go for option two. And everybody was very forgiving. They knew I was brand new, knew I had no skills, and they were very supportive. And that's when I got hooked and realized that this is probably something I want to pursue. I had to take a little bit of break when I decided to become a parent, and took a break for about 12 years as my children grew up. And when I got reconnected with DJing was through CrossFit, actually. So for those of you that don't know CrossFit, it's basically a fitness methodology using Olympic lifting, body weight movements, and certain calisthenics, things like burpees. Everybody's pretty familiar with those, or squat thrusts, but everybody hates them. So I was at an event, and they actually had a live DJ there, and that was the first time I'd ever seen a live DJ at a fitness event. So I was very intrigued, and the guy was playing great music, obviously, and talked to him a little bit, established a relationship. Told my wife about it, and she always knew that I was interested in getting back into it. Now that the kids were a little bit older, there was a little bit more opportunity for me to do things like that because the kids are a little bit more self-sufficient when they're in their preteens. So for Christmas, my wife bought me my first controller, and about 2 months later, I was DJing my first CrossFit event.
I love that. I love that your wife bought you it. Mm-hmm. Like, talk about supportive partners. That's amazing. You know, talking about CrossFit, I don't know if a lot of DJs think about this, especially since a lot of us are in the clubs late at night, maybe having some drinks, maybe not eating the best of food, you know, after an evening out. Mm-hmm. How much do you think that health has to do with running a successful DJ business, and why?
I think one of the traits that helps that transcends running a business and the fitness is the discipline aspect. I have to get, sometimes I'll work out in the mornings, which causes me to get up about 5:30 so I get to the gym by 6. Then I go to work, and then go to work all day, take care of business there, and then sometimes I'll coach a class in the evening. So I have to be very structured, and I have to be very efficient with my time, because if I let things sort of drag and procrastinate, it starts affecting everything down the chain. So even things like you're talking about with food and diet, a lot of times when I'm DJing at clubs here locally, I'm not done till about 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're usually hungry. So everybody wants to go out and, wherever the afters are. And I have to be very cautious and particular about what I eat. Everybody's probably going to crush something fried and greasy because most of the people are drunk and hungover. I can't really afford to do that because I value my fitness and my health. And now, granted, I eat cheeseburgers and I eat snacks and all that good stuff. I'm not some sort of machine. But
not a machine.
Not a machine. But I work so hard to get to my fitness level to where it is that I don't want to lose my gains over a double cheeseburger with bacon at 3 o'clock in the morning. And those things sort of, I think, transcend, like I said, the business realm. Like, I know I have to go, I call it, grip and grin, shake hands and smile at people and meet people and hand out business cards and find opportunities for me to play music at places that normally wouldn't have music, like the CrossFit avenues. When I first started introducing myself as a DJ and going to these CrossFit gyms, they weren't really familiar with having live DJs at their events. So it was an opportunity I had to create for myself. So having that motivation on top of it, coming from the fitness aspect, that also played a key role, I think, in the success of, in the infancy of my business.
You worked so hard, you didn't want to ruin all of the gains, everything that you've worked up to. And I know for me, once I changed my diet as well, I noticed this brain fog was gone. I had that clarity. I was more efficient with what I was doing because I could actually think and move around and feel active. And, like you said, like, I'm not a machine. I still have the junk sometimes, but just that little bit of junk is usually like my food hangover. And I'm like, that's why I don't do that.
Yeah, I didn't always lead a particularly healthy lifestyle. And, through adopting some of these fitness beliefs, I found that the first thing I really noticed once I cleaned up my diet was I was sleeping better. I was sleeping better and my cognitive function increased, at work and, allowing me to be a little bit more emotionally strong as well as physically strong. And I feel with all that, it helped me to be a little bit more creative when it came to the DJ space. And even from the CrossFit side, as a coach, not everybody responds the same to cues, as we call them, when you're trying to help someone fix something. So having to be creative and having to create ways to explain things to people through different means, whether it be visual, tactile, or just demonstrating for them. So,
and for any of you DJs that might have missed that, sleep is important. And even DJs can get sleep. You can find a way.
We can on occasion.
Yes. Power naps.
The disco nap. Yes.
Yeah. What some people might not know about you is that you have military experience.
Yes.
How important do you think having a routine and running your business is? And can you give us an example of what yours looks like? And if that military life, you see that influenced in running your business?
I think the biggest thing I've taken from my military experience is definitely time management. And from time management, all these different things trickle down. And I think where time management plays a key role is like, especially in weddings. When you're a wedding DJ, you become the de facto event coordinator, quarterback, whatever, because I find that very rarely nowadays couples will have event coordinators. I'm not sure why that is anymore, but I think people automatically assume you're in charge because you're the only one facing the crowd, aside from the wedding party. And they're not going to go ask the wedding party, hey, when is cake? When are they taking pictures? When is the first dance? And obviously you're the one doing a lot of the talking, well, aside from, a toast here, a prayer there, things like that. So having to make sure I know where I need to be and where the rest of the family needs to be, as well as the couple, to make sure that things are going smoothly, because no one else is going to do it. That's unfortunate. It's not always outlined appropriately when you start meeting with these clients, but for those of you that haven't started doing weddings, be prepared to run the wedding, because that's generally what happens. Another skill I picked up was communication skills. And when I mentioned the expectation management piece, in my career, I've learned to ask questions, not questioning, but to ask questions for purposes of clarity. So again, let's go ahead and use the wedding analogy. Oh, I just need a DJ for 4 hours and I want you to do some announcements. Okay, cool. And that was a lot of the the gigs I did with weddings when I first started off. And then as I started running into problems, well, hey, did you bring microphones? Well, no, you didn't ask for microphones. Oh, well, do you have lights? You didn't ask for lights. Oh, well, can you MC this, and can you announce the party and all that stuff? You didn't say. Now, and again, I didn't know what I didn't know about the wedding scene because I didn't have a mentor. I sort of fell backwards into it, where I did my first wedding as a gift to a friend because he knew I was a DJ and they had an announcer. So, between her and I, we got everything figured out. But as I've done more weddings and I started doing them by myself, I was like, oh, I don't have someone, because my expectation was that there was going to be someone to help me. Not always the case. So another piece for that is learning not to freak out. My brother told me nothing positive ever happens from a freak out. And if you're the DJ, whether it be a club, corporate event, wedding, you start freaking out, guess what's going to happen? Everybody else is going to freak out. Negotiation. That's another skill I have definitely developed and honed in this space as far as being an entrepreneur and a business person. Just because you ask for a certain thing doesn't always mean you're going to get a certain thing. And, making sure your contracts and your writers speak explicitly to what it is your minimum requirements are. And don't just think just because you sent the writer off and it got signed that things are going to get taken care of. I find it that you're best to follow up for your own benefit, because if you don't and you assume, sometimes those assumptions are not don't come to fruition. And networking, absolutely. As a DJ and as a leader in the military, I could not afford to know any strangers. You always have to introduce yourself, identify yourself, tell people who you are. And from a business standpoint, you have to, no matter how crappy the wedding is, how many things have gone wrong, you didn't get your meal, the bridesmaids are harassing you because you're not playing the right songs. You have to keep smiling and being that calm person. You can freak out all you want, on Sunday when you're cleaning up your gear, but in that moment, just smile and wave.
Oh, that's a lot of, I hope people are taking notes. That was perfect. I really love that you mentioned, like, if you're not basically planning the party, like helping them figure out what goes when, like start doing it now. And you also mentioned the thing about mentorship. That's so incredibly important. And I hope that a lot of our viewers are doing that. They're finding mentors out there, if not people that they're working with directly, listening to what they're saying, taking their workshops, because there are a lot of people out there that are running workshops and teaching about the communication skills, like I'm talking about, and asking the right questions. I like how you said you ask questions. It's not about questioning them,
Yep.
Right?
There's a complete difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know for me, if someone's questioning me, I'm on guard.
You're like, you get, you're right. You get on guard. So, and I sometimes will deliberately say that I'm not questioning. I'm just asking questions because I want to have clarity. So I make sure I deliver the best product for you and your family on probably one of the most important days of your life. You just frame it something simple like that, and people are less likely to get, torqued off about it.
Yeah, absolutely. My mom DJ'd my wedding, and she did the games and all of that jazz. And it was just like, man, it was above and beyond, like I was just expecting music, which is hilarious because I'm a DJ, but I'm within the club scene, right? So that's what I do. I play music, but from the wedding aspect, like so much more stuff going on for you. And
if you don't have that internal clock and you don't have those time management skills, everything can get derailed real quick. And one thing I'll talk about later, and I refer to as reputation capital. One way to lose that really quick is to let things go off the rails, because like I said, whether or not you're in charge, everybody in that room thinks you're in charge. And you know how I got most of my wedding gigs? From other weddings. Whether it be through people that attended the weddings, or the managers of the facilities that I've worked at, or photographers, or the caterers. I've had referrals from multiple angles like that I've never even thought people would even consider, saying, oh, hey, I worked this gig and this DJ was pretty awesome. But I've done the same thing conversely. I've said, oh, these photographers, if you want video and audio and everything, you definitely need to pay whatever they're asking because they're worth the money. And I've had people tell, other potential clients like, hey, hit Mo up, he's worth the money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the best kind of advertisement you can possibly get, because I didn't pay a dime for any of that.
Nope. Yeah, that word of mouth, like being able to leave that kind of impact, that's pretty powerful. That's special. Yeah. And speaking of leaving an impact, you are also a part of this amazing DJ panel. You all may have heard of them before. It is the Passionate DJ podcast. Mm-hmm. You recently did a show I think people should check out. Can you give us a little bit of insight on that episode? What inspired it? How did that come about?
So it's one of our, I think, most recent episodes. I think it's 2 episodes ago. I'm not sure where it'll be by the time this airs, but it's episode 152, the do's and don'ts of mobile DJing. I outwardly profess at the very beginning, I'm not an expert, but these are some things that I picked up over my time being a DJ, just things to be mindful of. Obviously, time management. One of the things I always tell people that a lot of us often forget is eat. Because like when I talked about the cognitive function from the fitness standpoint, I can tell when I'm outside my window between meals because I start to slow down. Like I physically feel sluggish. Mm-hmm. I know I need to get some food in me or some calories. I carry around like gel packs, like you'll see athletes using in runners. I keep them in my DJ bag because sometimes if I'm doing a club gig and it's late at night, there might not be anything open for me to get food, or if food's available, it's going to be fried. Mm-hmm. And, I know what that food does to me. So I keep things that I know are going to get me over for at least an hour or two, mm-hmm. because I know how my body responds when it needs to be fed. What else did I talk about? Yeah, networking, not knowing any strangers. Couple of things I think are kind of controversial but one that I kind of hang my hat on is when you're at a wedding or a corporate event, no one cares about your DJ skills. They can't care if you can beat match or you mix in key or, you're doing chairs or flirps or boomerang scratches, because most of them are there to enjoy the celebration with that family and not so much worried about your DJ skills. So, but if you check out that episode, it's about an hour long, and myself and the host, David Michael, we go together and just kind of go back and forth and talk about 15 or 20 different topics.
That's so interesting. I'm glad that you mentioned that part of people don't necessarily care about your mixing. And mm-hmm. For when you're playing like electronic gigs at a club, people might be more focused
completely
on
different because the heads are there and they have certain expectations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Grandma Molly, if she wants to hear me play the wobble twice, then guess what's going to happen? I'm going to play the wobble twice because it doesn't matter. I'm not, I'm sorry. There may be 2 people in there that are DJs or that are heads and like, oh, this guy's horrible. But the other 198, they thought I was pretty dope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's good to keep in mind, especially if you are a new DJ and you're really stressed out about that. And mm-hmm. This is just your opportunity to get out there, have great track selection, maybe practice some beat matching, mm-hmm. but don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't sweat it.
No. Because you've been in the industry for so long and you do so many amazing things, I really want to know, what is the most surprising lesson during this journey of entrepreneurship you've experienced?
I would say the most surprising thing that I found I had to, I guess for lack of a better term, force myself to learn was brand management. From marketing, social media, pricing, negotiation, like I said earlier, and just networking, obviously, and being on that grind, because I'm not a big enough organization where I can put someone on my payroll, to, hey, make so many social media posts a week on me, and hey, can you do this video clip? And the marketing aspect, it's kind of what I do within my career in the military, so I kind of have an understanding of how that goes. Mm-hmm. But with so many different social media outlets, each one of those is its own unique beast and has its own little tweaks. And you can't just copy and paste and hope everything's going to work across all platforms, because it usually doesn't. Mm-hmm. Some things you would do on platform A are totally contrary to what's appropriate for platform B. And just getting with people that understand it. Luckily, I have a house full of teenagers, so they understand that stuff and they can help me navigate that. So I do get a little bit of assistance when it comes to, you know, the technology aspect. But if you don't have someone in your pocket that understands, there's plenty of resources online, plenty of tools. I've found myself spending some money on efficiency tools where I can just like make bulk posts and they're automatically pushed out at particular intervals, however you establish. But spending that money to buy some time back is a worthy investment for me. You know, being like all the things you said at the beginning, a father, a coach, a parent, and, you know, I squeeze some DJing in there every once in a while and do some traveling to either do DJing or fitness related issues. So I'm not always in my office being able to sit at my desktop and push stuff out. So
it's nice to do these interviews, and every week you kind of hear people answering these questions with the added part to it, because once this video comes out, we had just interviewed Sivs the week prior, and she was talking about the importance of delegating tasks. I know for myself, kind of a control freak. However, you know, delegating those tasks can really help you focus in on the things that are important to
you. If I can pay, you know, a fair sum of money to buy back an hour a day, I'll pay for it.
Yeah, because you can always get more money. You can't get more time.
Exactly. And the way I kind of frame everything is I'll spend about 1 gig's equivalent to or 1 gig's payout equivalent in marketing and external resources per quarter. That's kind of how that's my kind of rule of thumb there, because, you know, the gig is the gig, especially when you're doing corporate wedding stuff. It's rinse and repeat. The names are different. You know, you wear a different suit. The playlist might be a little different. And I don't say that to be negative, but weddings, they are what they are. And you announce the party, you do the toast, you do the dances, you do the games, and then you play some music and let everybody dance, and then you pack up and go home. So the event itself isn't that challenging. It's the lead up to it, all the preparation, making sure that the couple is comfortable with everything, making sure you've asked the right questions, especially the questions that they haven't asked, just to provide you the ability to ease some of the anxiety that will still come on the day of the event. But as long, like I said, buying time back, that's worth it to spend 1 gig's worth of earnings on.
Love it. Are there any last thoughts, comments, projects that you'd like to share with the rest of us?
Ironically, as we've been talking about it through all this, one of the things I've been doing lately is some online mentoring with some of our listeners from the Passion DJ podcast, as you mentioned earlier. We have a community group. It's not necessarily a closed group. It's just a group that you have to get in. We don't reject anybody, but we do that just for kind of crowd control, and we can look at the analytics and get some additional data on there. And it just all started spontaneously. A particular follower of ours was asking some questions about, you know, taking that next step to evolving into a proper business versus just the bedroom DJ. And I started typing stuff out, and I was like, oh, you know what, screw it. Let me just call this guy. And I hit the little video thing. It rings a couple of times, and the video pops up, and the guy's looking at me, and you can tell, like, he's like, he knows my face, but doesn't know who I am because it's out of context. I'm like, hey man, it's Mo from Passion DJ podcast. He's like, oh, whoa, hold on. I'm at the car wash right now. And he like runs outside, and he's like, hey, what's going on? I was like, I was going to respond to your question, but you know what? I just figured we could talk. I was like, you got a couple minutes? He's like, yeah, I got plenty of time. So I wound up talking to him, just in, you know, again, disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not some world famous mobile DJ, but I just shared my experiences with him because, like I said, when I first started, I didn't have a mentor. So I don't want anyone else out there to I mean, there is some learning through suffering, but if you can have someone to mentor you and shepherd you through some of those times when you can't find the right answer, it relieves some of that anxiety, because a lot of people will stop short of their ultimate goal simply out of fear. And if I can help someone ease that anxiety, then I think that's pretty sweet.
I think that's so wonderful. Mentorship is incredibly powerful. And I feel like it's a part of building our community to help those around us. And who knows where they're going with their careers. I mean, if it's not you, it's hopefully going to be somebody else, right?
Absolutely.
So,
and, you know, just advancing, you know, what we do as DJs, as a culture and a community, and that rising tide lift all boats. Don't take that crab mentality where you start pulling someone down because they're doing better than you, or they're getting better gigs, or they're getting better gear. Celebrate that. If one wins, we all win. They don't have that quote hater mentality. Let's all do this together.
I like it. Thank you again so much for joining us. This has been a really special episode. For the rest of you that are watching, if there's anything that stood out to you, let us know in the comments below. We'll have links so you can check out the DJ Dingo online and or book him, of course, if you've got a wedding coming up or a friend has a wedding and they're like, hey, that guy sounds awesome.
I know a guy.
Yeah. As always, if y'all are thinking of some DJs out there that you think I should interview, make sure you let me know, and I will go hit them up and be like, come on the show. Until next time, don't let no one kill your vibe.